Hello and welcome. My guest today is filmmaker Amit Madheshiya. He, along with Shirley Abraham, wrote, directed and produced The Cinema Travelers, an award-winning film from India. Here's a clip from the film The Cinema Travelers and then an interview with Amit Madheshiya. We recorded this interview at the San Francisco International Film Festival. Hello and welcome. I'm Kamla. My guest today is Amit Madheshiya. He's a filmmaker and his first documentary is called The Cinema Travelers, which is showing at the San Francisco International Film Festival. And with me here is Amit. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
So Amit, congratulations on this fantastic documentary called The Cinema Travelers. Magical is the word that comes to mind. How did the idea for this film come about?
So it was around 2008 when we had just come out of college, Shirley and my co-director and me, and that was again the time when a lot of single screen theaters were shutting down in Bombay and the rest of the part of the country. And it was again one of those times when people were calling the death of cinema. They said the movies are dead and there will be new mediums. So we got really curious that how is it that we are producing so many films and the audience for that, and still we are calling the death of movies. So that curiosity led us on a journey, and we went all around the country looking for how.
This is India.
In India, how is it that people are watching films in the villages where probably there is no cable television? And we came across the traveling cinemas. These cinemas go to remote villages in India where there is no access to any permanent theater or cable television, and they screen films in those villages once every year. So, and this is
once a year.
Once a year.
That's
so,
it.
Yeah, and it's a tradition that they have followed for 7 decades now. So it seemed like a great story, and when we came back, we spoke about it. Nobody knew about traveling cinemas in Bombay, and these cinemas happen close to like 500, 600 kilometers from Bombay, and nobody knew about it. So we thought it's a great story. It needs to be told.
So that's how the idea was born. But it took you a lot of years to make this film. So what was the process? Because you are not a trained cinema person. You are a photographer. So how did you go about shooting this? And it took you 7 years?
Yes. So when we started in 2008, the initial 3 years went into the research. So Shirley was doing the research and I was taking photographs. And I was photographing the traveling cinemas. And those photographs won the World Press Photo amongst a few other awards. And the instinct to make a film was there right from the very beginning, because here we were witnessing something very magical, and we knew that we have to. I mean, the only way to bring this story out is only through the language of cinema and not
language of visuals. Actually,
visual, yes, and not merely in text or photographs. So we were very conscious of that, and we were really working towards making this film. And but since we knew nothing about it, so we spent a lot of time researching and finding our characters, and finally we started shooting in 2011. And then the cinemas work in a cyclical nature, so they work only until the rain begins. And
so how many months in a year do they show?
Maybe 3 to 4 months.
So for 3 to 4 months, you actually, Shirley, your co-producer, and you went with these traveling cinema folks, slept wherever they slept?
Yes. Yeah.
No hotels, no motels?
No, there was nothing. So they go to very remote villages in India where probably there is just one bus going in and it returns in the evening. So there was literally nothing, and it's like a place where it's like at times they go to a jungle and there are thousands and thousands of people who come in and they make something out of it. So it becomes a carnival space suddenly for a week, 10 days, and then everybody vanishes. So in places like that, there was nothing to stay and there were no places to eat. So all these people who come to participate in this fair, in this mela, so they come with their restaurants, with with maybe spaces to sleep with their gaddas and everything. So
so the whole infrastructure
is created and built from ground up. So yeah, so we slept in whatever we could get in, like at times in a mosque or a dharmshala or a temple. So whatever people offered, we took it, and we were very happy with that.
Okay, so 8 years, and the result is this documentary called The Cinema Travelers. And like you rightly pointed out, India has got the largest film industry in the world, and yet the focus is on Bollywood.
Yes.
What you're focusing on is on the towns outside of the metro areas,
Right.
where they're actually watching 35 films, not digital.
Yeah.
They're still in the analog world.
Yeah.
And the three people that you follow in the story are Babu, Muhammad, and Prakash. Tell us why you chose these three people to highlight in the film.
Yes, so we were looking at people who have distinct association with cinema, and since this story was going to be about the grand narrative of cinema itself, so we wanted people who we could place in three spectrums of time. So we choose Muhammad because he's this young exhibitor and he lives in the present. He's all about my today's livelihood. And Bapu is...
And he's a bit of a hustler.
He's a hustler, he's a showman, he's a true showman. And Bapu is somebody who has seen the glory of the traveling cinemas when thousands and thousands of people sat in one tent and watched films. So he misses that time and he kind of lives into that glory and he wants to go back into that time. So it gives us a very interesting juxtaposition with Muhammad. And then Prakash is somebody who becomes a bridge between these two people. He's somebody who lives in the past but could also see much ahead in the future. So we got these three spectrums from our protagonist, and that's why we built them together in the film.
So the interesting character was Prakash, because he was truly an artist.
Yeah.
All three are creators, actually, because they're not film walas or film people who are running the projector. On the fly, they're creating. If something is burnt, if they snip off the two ends of the film and they stick it together. But Prakash is the true genius, I thought, in the film. He's very creative, and to use a very Indian phrase, he's the master of jugaad, of innovation. And he's created this projector that nobody wants to use. What was it like for you when you met Prakash, the first time when you met him?
So Prakash came to us through legends, through myths, because we would meet all these showmen and they would talk about him and say there was this man Prakash who would repair projectors like nobody else, and he was the best in the business, and he charged us so much money. Maybe he put gold into those projectors, who knows. So and then we got really curious about him, that where is this projector mechanic, and we looked and we searched, and then we finally found him. And
found him where?
We found him in a small village in Maharashtra, and yes, he was still in his workshop, and he's a fascinating guy. He's almost he is a philosopher. He's a wise and old man, and he has never been to his school, so all his learning comes
from self-taught.
Self-taught man, yeah. So, and he's somebody who taught us that the story of humankind is not about technology. I mean, technology becomes obsolete very soon now, maybe every two to 3 years, but the real story is about human imagination and creation. So,
see, that's why I said he was a creator.
Yes. So, I mean, the philosophy of the film is inspired by Prakash, and if you look, then Bapu is also an imaginative man. He pulls that truck which has no engine, and he pulls that with his spirit and imagination, nothing else. So, yeah, Prakash really gives us a lens to look at this world, and this world which is on the precipice of change.
Yeah, and there is a sentence, or there is a place in the film where Prakash talks about how he got enamored when he saw a film at the age of 5.
Yes.
And then he used these farming analogy, like it's the seed. You sow the seed, after 5 days or 8 days, you see it germinate. And he says, so how did they make this film? How does this thing work? So it was very fascinating to hear him share his train of thoughts and the curiosity. So he was a very creative guy, and he also created a projector, didn't he?
Yes, he created a pitch perfect projector, like perhaps the best projector in the world, as he calls it. but he created it very late. I mean, by the time.
Do you think it's still late?
Yes, because I mean the technology is gone. Nobody is watching films on 35 anymore. I mean,
what if it makes a comeback?
He's waiting for that time. He believes that there will be a time when people will come back to this technology. I mean, he's not actually waiting for it, but in his mind, it's somewhere that people might come back to this.
Because
technology.
At the end, I think he subscribed the Indian notion everything is cyclical.
Yes, yes, exactly.
So he probably knows somewhere that it's going to come back. So while watching the film, what was interesting is that the projector itself is a character in the film. It was very sad to see what happens to it. I won't give it away. But then the thing that I started to wonder about when I was watching the film is, what kind of camera did you use to make this film?
Yes, so the answer to the first question, we really consciously tried to give some life to the projector, because the projectors were very integral part of the story, and we tried to humanize them. So how we did was partly how we shot it, and also with the sound design. So when you hear the projector, you are not only hearing the mechanical sound of the projector, but also we mixed it with bees, the sound of bees.
Yes, I heard that when you were at Sundance, apparently you stepped out and you heard the bees buzz.
Yeah, and we spoke to our sound designer, Pete Horner, and he really liked the idea. He jumped at it and he mixed it so well that it, when you hear the projector, it feels alive.
But it's actually a mix of the sound of bees
and the mechanical sound of the projector. So it's something that you can't see, but you feel it, and that's how sound works in film. So that's how we brought some life in these lifeless objects. And so what happens to the projector in the end, you are affected because how we had built it up.
Yeah, so because it spoke to us.
Yes. Yeah.
It was not an inanimate object.
Yes, yeah.
But it was a dynamic object, and it was the heart of the film.
Yes, and it had life in it. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was it. Yeah. Okay. So to the next question about what camera you used.
Yeah. So I used my Canon 5D Mark II. It's this camera was very hot when we started filming in 2011. Most of the independent filmmakers were using it.
So it's a Canon 5D.
Yeah, Canon 5D Mark II. It was. I mean, a lot of filmmakers started using it because it gave great images, and that was the time when we started filming. So, and I had this camera because I was taking photographs on it. So, the switch became very. I mean,
what are the limitations though of using this?
There are many limitations. There are thousands of limitations of this camera. So, like you can't move it much because you'll see a certain kind of jitter and everything, and you can't. The latitude is not good enough on this camera. Of course, it's a digital camera, so that also adds to it. And there are various limitations.
But what are the plus points?
The plus point is it's a very small camera. And
did you use this lens?
Same lens, yes.
So then, didn't your characters kind of, because you were shooting in villages and in tent theaters where the films were being shown, and these are folks who are not used to seeing these kind of modern day camera. Did it intimidate them when you took those portraits of the audience?
This camera, not at all, because it looked like a still camera to them, and they thought that, okay, I'm taking some photographs. So even when I was filming with them, they were not very curious. But if I had a big camera, like a big movie camera, there would be thousands of people, because when you are in that fair, there are at least 1 to 2 lakh people in that fair. And
100 to 200,000.
Yes. Yes. So, so many people around you. So with this camera, people were not paying so much attention to what we were doing. And also we were a small crew of just 2 people, me and Shirley. So we kind of found ourselves into these situations where we were noticed, but not to a great extent. So, and
what was the process of taking some of those stunning pictures?
Oh, those stills. So I did those stills before shooting the film. So
like all of them are in wonderment.
Yes. So the idea was that I was taking photographs of the traveling cinemas.
Were you sitting? So I really want to know, where were you sitting when you took the picture? So supposing I'm the person taking a picture. Where were you sitting?
Yeah. So the screen is behind me.
Right.
And I'm sitting like this, and the camera is on a tripod, and I begin with sitting very close to the screen, and people are like, let's say, 20 feet from me. And then gradually, as the film progresses, I move inch closer towards you, so that you get accustomed to me being there and doing something on my
So I'm the cinema.
Yes. So I'm not looking at the screen, I'm looking at the faces and the beam of light, which is which is something that has.
So since I'm lost in it, you then catch that moment.
Yes, and I've spent so much time sitting here and moving slowly and slowly closer to you that you have gotten used to my presence there, and you are not bothered when I have come really close to you and taking those very intimate photographs.
So that is the.
Yeah.
Where did you learn photography?
I learned it on my own. I think I just picked up a camera when I was in school. I was really inspired by one of my teachers. He taught us English, and he's a wonderful photographer, filmmaker. So I saw one of his articles published in a magazine, and I was very impressed by that. And I wanted to do that. So I wanted to write and take photographs. So he really inspired me to do.
What's his name?
Rajshekhar Pant.
Rajshekhar Pant. And where was this?
In Nainital.
Nainital in Uttarakhand. Okay, that's where you went to school.
Yes, yes.
So what was the camera that you used?
At that time, I was using Nikon FM10. Yes.
It's a point and shoot camera?
No, it's an analog film camera.
Analog film camera. Okay. So have you shown this film to your teacher?
Not yet. Yeah, I'm waiting to. Yeah, but I just spoke to him before coming here, so I will go back and hopefully find a way to share it with him. Not on a computer, but in a cinema hall.
Did you show him the photograph for which you won awards?
Yes.
What was his feedback?
Oh, he's very proud of me. He loved those photographs. Yeah, he's very happy, and he wants me to come back to this school someday.
Do you plan to go back to your
Yes,
school?
of course. Yeah.
Okay, so back to the Cinema Travelers itself. This is a very sad story at the end. You know, you captured something that was in transition, a world that was going from analog to digital.
Right.
How painful was it for you to see the transition and that one scene which I'm not going to talk about?
It was very painful, and it was terrifying to be there in that moment. But I think we were influenced by what Prakash said, that the story is not really about technology, it's about creation, and cinemas are just shedding their skin, and we are making newer things, and people would enjoy films as they have always enjoyed, irrespective of the medium. So I do not invest a lot of value into the equipment, into the medium, as much into the story. So when the transition happened, our allegiance was towards the story and not to. I mean, we could have intervened and done something there, but we
That's
didn't.
what I thought.
Yes, but we thought about it, and then we said, no, we are not going to intervene here.
I thought to myself, why did they intervene?
Yeah.
You know, they could have rescued it.
We could have, but this was a better story, and it was happening. Yeah.
So you didn't want to stop
Yes.
it.
No.
Okay. So you are not a trained filmmaker.
No.
What were some of the things you had to learn to make this film?
Everything. I mean, it took us 8 years to make this film because of our own inexperience and coming from a place of not knowing. So we learned almost everything.
Editing?
Editing, how to shoot a film, edit it, direct it, how to record sound, how to put sound, how to make great use of sound in a film. So yeah, we learned everything here.
From whom?
From reading from books and watching these films, great films. For editing, I was reading Walter Murch, his Conversations with Walter Murch, written by Michael Ondaatje, and his book In the Blink of an Eye. And I was watching all his films almost every day and learning from those frames and how he had made a certain cut. So yeah, I'm hugely inspired and influenced by Walter Murch in the editing process.
Walter Murch is from the Bay Area.
Yes.
Have you met him?
Not yet. He's not here today. He's in London. Otherwise, I had sent him an invitation. He would have come if he was in the Bay Area.
But his wife is going to watch the
Yes,
film.
Aggie is coming tonight.
Aggie's. Okay, so I guess in your to-do list, meeting with Walter Murch is right there at the top.
Yes. I've been waiting for that for so long.
If you were to meet him, what would be the first thing you'd ask him?
I don't know. I get very tongue-tied when I meet my heroes. So yes, I don't know what will I ask him. Maybe I'll just say that I'm a huge admirer of your work, and I've learned so much from you, and it's great to meet you.
Who are the other people that have influenced you?
Raghu Rai,
the Indian photographer.
And Henri Cartier-Bresson.
Oh, well.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And, yes, and Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I enjoy magic realism. So the film, the magic realist nature of the film is inspired from the books that I've read.
Gotcha. So that's why the word magical springs to our mind,
Yes.
because there is that
Yes.
Latin American magical realism
Yes.
element in it.
It was
Did you
intentional.
watch any Brazilian films or Latin American films to get that sense?
No, I think it all came from the books from Salman Rushdie, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, and from Marc Chagall, his paintings. So yeah, it's not from the movies so much.
So these are people that you've never met, but you've
No.
looked at their works
Yes,
and
admired them.
admired them.
Yeah.
What is next for you?
I'm making another film, which is for the New York Times of Docs, and it will be done very soon, maybe in the next few months. And then I want to write. I want to write about cinema and about photography.
And now that you're trained,
Yeah.
I'm assuming that your next project, if it's a cinema, whatever
Yeah.
cinema, you will have a script and you'll have everything in the right order.
Yes, I mean, I don't know if it's a good thing or not, because when you are not trained, you are in this place of not knowing, and that's a very exciting place to be. And then you do things which you're not supposed to do, and in your
You break rules without knowing.
Yes, and in your foolishness, you are.
Why do you
are
say foolishness?
Because it's being foolish. I mean, who spends 8 years of their lives making a film, and what if nobody liked that film? I mean, we are fortunate that the film works and people admire it. But
You spent 8 years because you wanted to get the right photograph. You
yes,
wanted to get the
we
right.
wanted to make a film as perfect as we could, and so we were waiting, and we were trying to make it better every single day.
How happy are you with the end product?
I'm very happy, extremely happy. I think that we finally did arrive at a film that we wanted to make, and it's not easy to do. Not many filmmakers could say that. So I'm very happy. At least the film that we have is our film. This is the film that we always wanted to make.
So before I close the interview, there are a couple of shots that come to mind. One is a shot where, I don't know who it is, Mohammed or Prakash, some of them, they have a strip of the film
Yeah.
and they look at it. It was beautifully shot. Do you remember that scene? They're examining.
Oh yes, yeah. Bapu is looking when the reels come to him.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Do you remember how you shot it? Because I'm wondering, how did you? So there were like 2-3 scenes that really caught my attention. One was that. The other is when they have to show the film and the film hasn't arrived and the publicity materials haven't arrived, and then you see that these two guys are running with a gunny bag or whatever you call it, with the film boxes in it, and then you see the frantic opening, and then they pop it into the projector. Was it all done in one shot? When I say one shot, was it just one event or was it multiple events that you?
It was multiple events.
So this was how it happened all the time?
Yes, so the film is observational in a way, how we found it, how we shot it, but when we're editing the film, we construct it like, it's like a process of writing. Yeah.
Gotcha. So that was not one, okay.
Yeah.
So that was one thing, and the.
But it happened in one, so they ran with the film cans and then they open it, so that is one event.
Okay, okay. And I think Bapu sleeping by the truck, that was a very, he was in a happy place and yet not happy because he knows that this whole thing is going to come to an end. How did you shoot him sleeping like that? You must have waited for.
Yes, I mean, we shot him sleeping almost every day because we knew that it might go somewhere. We didn't know how we were going to use it, but we knew that it's an interesting image. It was just that much at that point. And but we didn't know how to look at it. So it's only when we are writing the film in the post-production we found a way to use it. And again, that whole scene is inspired from Walter Murch. He talks about dream sequence in Conversations.
Oh, okay.
And Francis Ford Coppola had missed shooting a certain segment in the film, and
Apocalypse Now.
No, in Conversations.
Oh, in Conversations.
So when the footage came to Walter Murch, he thought this part is missing. So he struggled a lot how to salvage it, and he thought, let's do a dream sequence. It wasn't in the script, but he constructed a dream sequence after the footage that he had. So here we were struggling with how to give more meaning to Bapu's motivation and how to show him that he's still longing for that time that is past. So, and we thought, let's do a dream sequence, and that's how the idea came about.
So the influence of Walter Murch is huge.
Yes, yeah, it's in each and every frame of the film, I would say.
So that's the most interesting thing, is that the reach of Walter Murch in India is not a well understood phenomenon.
Yeah.
You know, because I've spoken to a lot of editors in India, and they all mention him.
Yeah.
You know,
he's,
so
he's a huge influence. He's a great editor. Yeah. And sound designer, of course. I learned a lot about sound design from him.
yeah, he's a sound designer. We often forget that he's well, I hope you get to meet him.
Hopefully soon.
And your film is showing at the San Francisco International Film Festival. How did that come about?
They invited the film, and it's such a great festival. It's the 60th year.
60th year, yeah.
Of the festival. And
did they reach out to you?
We surely would know better.
Oh, okay, no problem.
I don't know exactly how it happened.
Is this your first visit to San Francisco?
No, we came here to mix the film at Skywalker.
Oh, so you've come here before.
Yeah. So our sound designer Pete Horner works at Skywalker Sound, so we came here to mix the film. Also, our producers, our executive producers live here, David and Minette Nelson, from the Filmmaker Fund.
Okay, so they live here. So you've been to the Bay Area before.
Yes.
So do you think you're coming back again?
Yes, very much. In fact, just yesterday, somebody was talking to me about how they want to bring some filmmakers back, and they want us to be here.
Oh, fantastic, Amit. Hopefully we get to see you.
Yeah, thank you.
Wish
so
you
much.
all the best. You just won the National Award in India. So congratulations
Thank
for
you so
that.
much.
And you won a lot of other awards. So
Yes, about 8 international awards.
8 international. And this is for your first documentary.
Yes.
Using a Canon 5D.
Yeah, it does not matter what equipment you have.
It's the imagination.
It's the imagination, yeah.
Thank you so much for shedding light on your film and on Prakash.
Thank you so much. It was great talking to you.
Thank you. And thank you for watching. If you missed any of our shows, you can watch them on our YouTube channel. We'll be back again next week with another episode. Until then, goodbye.